Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Breakroom. It's your two favorite co-workers, Alex Berg and Brian Kim. Friendly reminder before we get into it, if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe. Really helps us with the algo.
Please.
Today we're going to talk about Lanterns Episode 2. We're going to talk about the Super Mario Titan leak.
Yeah.
We got some Wolverine, some GTA 6 stuff, some Wonder Man stuff. But before all that, let's do the gentle roast of the week.
There's quite a bit you got.
We have
quite a bit.
We have a bountiful crop of gentle roasts this week. We'll start with the first one from Who's Kaida. Thank you, Who's Kaida, for your gentle roast. Saying, Berg looks like Vision, but 5 years after Wanda divorced him.
Okay, yeah. I see the vibes. I see the vision.
It's like Vision let himself go a bit, and he's not getting back on track anytime soon.
Yeah, he's okay with just wearing shorts.
Oh,
he got
God.
into camo.
Dude, did you see? My God, I felt so attacked by The Onion last week. Within an hour of one another, there was one article that was David Attenborough admits to inflating the wonder of seals or something like that.
That's so fun. No.
And then there was a second one an hour later that was like pros and cons of wearing shorts to the office. And I showed her my wife. I was like, can you believe this shit? She's like, someone there's got it in for you. They got your number. They got your number. So that's our first gentle roast. Thank you, Who's Kaida.
Appreciate it, Kaida.
The next one spawned a series of gentle roasts that are all linked.
Yeah.
This is our first gentle roast shared universe, and I congratulate the commenters.
GRCU.
Yeah, GRCU. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or GrokU.
GrokU? I don't like that.
GrokU? No. Okay, so from Thrax the God 7781 kicked it off by saying, Brian looks like a middle school band teacher.
It's like, do band teachers have? I get what they're saying,
dude. It's when he wrote this, I was like, absolutely. My middle school band teacher, John Fumasoli, wore a tie like that and kind of had the same haircut. It's so funny.
And I guess at the time when the roast was happening, I was wearing just a white tee and like a sort of collared shirt thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I guess band teachers do wear that.
Yeah.
Wonder why.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So it started with Brian looks like a middle school band teacher. Then Money Mang 303 chimed in with, don't forget to add in, he quit during the winter after cussing at the students when they didn't play the saxophone correctly.
There's like, okay, but that brand of band teacher, I don't know if that's the brand that I was wearing. You know what I mean?
No, I think your chiller band teacher, this.
I'm like the
this band teacher
core.
Is like, shows up like stinking like patchouli after a half-hour break in his car. And is like, hey, what if we all just played the DuckTales theme today?
I'm saying,
that's
the vibe I'm trying to give out.
So that's part 2. Then part 3 from Edward T 8704. Meanwhile, Berg is the middle school biology teacher who's about to take his class out to study bugs.
Hell yeah,
man!
Wow.
I love that everybody came together for this.
It's true.
This roast universe paints it specifically. It paints a picture of a middle school where it's like the band teachers are hanging out in the teachers' lounge or cafeteria. Their job is not their life. Sure. They're not living to work. They're working to live.
Oh yeah. It is funny that we're still both middle school teachers though. I guess that's the ultimate vibe.
Yeah, guess this is not, you know what it is? I think a middle school teacher still has a little light in their eyes.
You think so?
I think a high school teacher, I think if you're a high school teacher, you've got a lot more like, oh, fucking Christ.
I guess so. I
the kids are still a little nicer in middle school, I think.
No way.
You don't think so?
No way. I think middle school is primo like demon age.
Oh, really?
That is the demon age, because like you're not old enough to be mature, but you're not young enough to like respect authority anymore.
Yeah.
You're in this little sweet zone where you're like, you're kind of a monster because you think you can get away with it.
Yeah,
and there's nothing really that teachers can do about it. And I think that extends to like maybe 9th and like 10th to 11th where it kind of stops.
Yeah.
At the end, I mean, like I just know that like I have a friend who's a teacher in high school who it's like a fight to get into the 11th, 12th grade teaching. Like, that's where people want to be. But like that middle ground, that's where the kids are unhinged.
It's so funny because in my head, it's like by the time you get to high school, the kids who are over being in school are really over it. You know, like in middle school, everyone's still like, yeah, this is what you do. You go to school. But by the time you get to high school, everyone knows one guy who like dropped out and is just like a mechanic or like working somewhere. And at least in my high school, there was always an undercurrent of like, you clearly don't want to be here and you're going to take it out on whatever teacher's class you're in right now. I wasn't that guy. I was very much the guy showing up stoned to Latin class, being like, I'll read the translation, but I'm going to do it in a pirate voice.
You know what? I think you've convinced me. Bringing up my memories. Middle schools, the kids were kind of wild in, but they're mostly fine. But in high school, I had a class. Oh my God. I took a Korean class because, fun fact, guys, I'm Korean.
Shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Really?
this is a Korean face. I'm born and raised in America, but I'm ethnically Korean, and I took a Korean class.
Oh, I thought that was just like a hobby or something for you.
I just decided
to
look. I'm really into Korean people.
Yeah,
so I shaped my entire personality around it.
Yeah. But so you took a Korean class.
I took a Korean class for an easy A because I'm not fluent in Korean, but enough to get A's in the class.
Sure.
But that class, my God, I felt so bad for the teacher because nobody in class respected being there. And so it was quite genuinely, at a certain periods of time, I think she cried every day for a couple months. It was really bad.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? I can't do anything.
Dude, there's a teacher my daughter had last year who, the way my daughter was there when this happened, and the way she tells this story is basically that there was like one kid in her class who's like a fucking punk, and he was really like mouthing off to this teacher, and the teacher broke down and was like, we have feelings, and it's like, dude, you're done. You're cooked. You're never getting those kids back.
Yeah,
you're so
over.
Cooked, like she was like, Dad, the craziest thing happened at school today. And I was like, yeah, that guy's done. He's done. What can you do?
Yeah.
But anyway, so thank you everybody who turned in some gentle roasts.
Appreciate it.
This past week. Your gentle roasts are appreciated. Please respond with your gentle roasts down in the comments. We'll keep an eye out for it next week. Let's get to the weekend catch-up.
Yeah.
How was your weekend? What'd you get up to?
This weekend was mostly nothing, but the one really cool thing that I got to go to was the friends and family admission to the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art.
A friend of mine got invited to that. How was it?
It is really cool.
Oh,
it's
so cool.
I can't show any pictures because they requested.
It's not open yet.
It's not open yet. But the experience, it's just, I forget. I go to museums a lot just because I like looking at art. But, commercial art really isn't put in a space that's, respected in the same way.
Yeah.
And so it was really awesome to see. And because it's like narrative art, there's not really like the typical structure of like a museum. I feel like it's usually like chronological or like by people or a civilization or whatever.
Yeah.
But the museum was kind of just like, this is like about medieval stuff, and there's a bunch of different things with medieval stuff.
Oh, so cool.
This is where like cinema storytelling. This is comic storytelling. This is storytelling about families. This is about childhood. And so it's like different narrative themes and different artwork that like are representative of that. And it's also just, you get to see really good art that normally isn't like
put on display
on like a typical museum. Which is, I don't know. There's this one artist, I forget his name.
Michelangelo.
He's a legend.
That's his
I've
name.
never seen.
Yeah. I got it in one.
It's like a commercial. Like he mostly did like commercial art for things in around like the 20s, like early 20th century. His stuff is so cool. But it's just like you would never see that in a normal museum because, like why are you putting up a piece of art from a person who made the art of like a pancake batter mix?
Right.
Like it's
like that might be a special exhibit in a gallery.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be like the centerpiece of a museum exhibit.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's still, despite it being commercial, like fantastic art.
I mean, that was when I moved out to LA. So like 04, 05, shortly thereafter, there was a citywide exhibition going on comic art. And this was also like, pre like MCU dominating box office and stuff. But it was one of my favorite exhibits for that same reason, because all of a sudden you saw, this is where I got really into George Harriman and Winsor McKay, but like you saw like art from Mad Magazine contrasted with like, high art or whatever.
Yes.
And kind of the point of the exhibit was like, hey, the fact that this art is being done for the genre of Sunday comic strips doesn't make it any less art. It doesn't make the talent any less, and it was really, for me, it was really eye-opening. It was really, really cool. Really cool.
And like, because this is, I think this is George Lucas's personal collection.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is kind of stuff that only person of his both caliber and interests and wealth are able to collect. Like, there's so many original like comic inkings that he has of like, original Garfield comics where like you see the pencil lining and then the inking after.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, this is cool. You forget that comics back in the day, you had to literally ink with a pen to make that work. But it was incredible. It's, I think, sold out for the next like opening to months.
Yeah.
But if you guys have a chance somehow to get in, I highly recommend it.
So here's what's so funny is, so a friend of ours got invited, I don't think to the friends and family opening. I think there's like another like opening for the public coming soon or something.
I am unaware, but I believe it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe it was this one, but so a friend of ours got invited, had a +1 and invited my wife. And we were walking the dogs and my wife was like, my friend invited me to some museum opening.
What the heck?
And she's like, what am I going to do at an art museum? And I was like, well, what's the museum? And she's like, I don't know, some George Lucas thing. And I was like, you got to go. And she's like, I don't know. I was like, the building itself is supposed to be a work of art. Like it's
cool.
supposed to be so cool. So yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I'm still trying to get downtown to see the orcas exhibit at the Natural History Museum, which I'm very excited for. But it's just, I've had family in town and it's been kind of chaos in my life. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of basically what I did, and I did chores after. So how was your weekend like?
My weekend was really intense. So here's the short version of the story is I am a big believer in the therapeutic potential of psychedelics.
Wow.
And a couple times a year, under the advisement of my therapist, who will not be there when I do it, but like, I'll do like a solo trip to just be like, hey, I got to just kind of like process some stuff. And one of the times I do that is after my daughter's trips out here, because the goodbyes are always very difficult and I don't really have a lot of space to process stuff. And so I just kind of create my space. So this weekend I was like, okay, I'm going to do that, did all my prep. The way it started was my wife was hanging out in the pool and I came outside with a glass of mushroom tea I had spent all afternoon brewing that I was like so excited about. And I was like,
mushroom tea.
Hey, who's like ready to hang out? I set it down. It fell over. The glass shattered. And immediately I was like, watch the dogs. They're going to drink the glass drunks.
Oh, God.
Just started off like such chaos. Then cleaned all that up. Ruined my wife's vibe. Just absolutely ruined her peaceful vibe. Then cleaned that up, like, had like another eighth laying around. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'm fine. Took that, bawled my eyes out for like 2 hours, like 2 straight hours of just staring at a fig tree, weeping. Everything's like 2-dimensional and looks like a fucking Van Gogh painting.
That's beautiful, man.
It was gorgeous. It was not, the way I've been thinking of it, because I'm still processing it, it was not that long ago, is like, I think when you run a marathon, the running of the marathon is not fun. And afterwards you are so sore and so exhausted. Yeah. But you are happy you did it.
Yeah.
I am happy I did it, but my God, it was not fun. It was just not fun.
Sure.
It was just like, the whole night, like,
got a lot of feelings about fig trees, I guess.
But then my recovery day, I get really bad headaches the day after. So I also have to plan on like having nothing to do the following day. Sat down, played Breath of the Wild for probably like 8 hours straight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Perfect way to recover.
Hell yeah, dude.
Perfect way to recover.
That's the things they don't tell you, is that you got to set a day after to like chill out after the
And you know,
trip.
I don't want to get into the Reggie Watts article too much because it's just so upsetting. I don't really have a lot to say other than fuck that guy. But part of that article was talking about how, you know, he and the woman whose name I can't recall, who, you know, wound up taking her own life, like he would just like kind of pressure use on her. And one of the things he had pressured her to use was 5-MeO DMT, which led to a psychotic break and a very, very tragic outcome. And it's like, man, it's so annoying that it's like, yeah, there is, I really genuinely believe there is therapeutic potential for a lot of these things, for ketamine, for DMT, but my fucking God, that doesn't mean it's automatically therapeutic. Like, water is great. You drink too much, you fucking drown. You know what I mean?
Drown
like,
with water, yeah.
Like there's a right way to do it, and there's so many wrong ways to do it. And I do not think even 5 years ago I knew the right way to do it for it to be therapeutic. I certainly knew how to do it to have a fun bachelor party or something, you know, like you go to Big Bear, you got a bunch of silly board games, you're in for a good time, you know, like, but yeah, so that was like my whole weekend was just like recovering and dealing with that. But,
I literally cannot imagine. I'm personally mostly straight edge my whole life. Actually, I drink alcohol, so I'm a liar. But,
yeah, sure. I knew you were a liar. I just didn't know what you were lying about.
I lie all the time. I do it for fun. All the stories I've ever told, not true. I've tried. I smoked weed like once in my life. Specifically because I was going through something, and I was like, I heard it calms people down.
How'd that go for you?
I was a really paranoid high,
dude. Yeah,
it was bad.
Yes,
it was, and also, I don't know if like people still say it, but I remember people were saying like the first time people try to get high, they usually don't, and that
was not my experience.
Okay, because I've heard that like people either need to like smoke more than they think in order to get high. But anyway, that's what my friend said. And so she's like, you gotta smoke a lot to get high.
Bad advice.
Smoked a lot.
Bad advice.
It was crazy.
Yeah. You can always smoke more. You can never go back and smoke less.
I wish I knew this.
Yeah,
I wish I knew this.
Yeah.
It was funny because it was fun for exactly 10 seconds. And then I was like, I'm over this, actually.
Yeah, but you still got like 4 hours left.
No, it was like 6 hours.
Dude, it
was terrible.
So bad.
All I could think of was like how everything, for some reason, I had this whole thing. I think generally speaking, I've been a very unobservant person, but I never knew this.
You didn't observe this about yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If things like, if I put, part of my like sort of ADHD in this, and we all know this, like you put a phone somewhere, you leave, you forgot that it was there or whatever.
Sure.
Or like I realized I didn't pay attention. Anyway, I was high, and then I like looked around, and there was a water bottle in the table, and instead of being like, oh, that must have always been there, I was like, that just popped into existence the moment I saw it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I looked into the hallway. There's like fairy lights in the hallway.
Yeah.
I'm like, that wasn't there before. That definitely popped into existence. And I was like, I'm in a freaking dream right now. That's the only explanation for this. Or I'm in a movie. And then I was like,
yeah, you're just like noticing details you haven't seen before. And you're like, it's impossible that I didn't notice it. I'm king shit of noticing stuff.
And then after I got sober, I noticed that was just how I was generally.
Yeah.
I'd be driving on a freeway. I've driven for like years. And I never noticed this park on the side. I'm like, what the hell? There was a park there? This is crazy. All that to say, sometimes you got to be in the right frame of mind to partake.
I'll say this will be my last thing, and then we'll move on. Like, I was a really heavy weed smoker for years. I had a psychiatrist who was like, hey, my whole thing is brain chemistry. I have a PhD. You should stop. It's making you more anxious. And I was so convinced that the anxiety was just like bedrock part of me that I was like, fuck this doctor.
Sure.
I'll quit for a month just to prove her wrong. And after like 3 days, I was like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
And I don't think everybody has that reaction, but like, I will just say with all this stuff, like, because you see like a YouTube video of someone being like, hey, like, I self-medicated and cured my depression. Like, maybe that did work for them. I'm not calling them a liar. That don't mean it gonna work for you. You know what I mean? Like, so just please be responsible. Part of being a responsible drug user is knowing when not to use them. And part of when not to use them is if they make your brain feel bad.
True.
Like it's a bummer, but that could just be the case sometimes. Speaking of things that make your brain feel bad.
Wow.
Let's talk about the Super Mario Titans leaks.
Yeah.
So tell me how you came across these and what your initial response to them was.
Well, it was like, it just was on my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
It just like algorithmically got fed to me. But it was just a leak of the supposed next 3D Mario game.
Yeah.
Called Super Mario Titan. And it was like, it looked pretty good.
I mean, having looked at them, like, yes, that looks like it could be a still from a video game, but it also looks like AI slop.
It also had like some things that were a little bit ridiculous, like Wario and Waluigi were on the front cover, and they had these like poses and stuff. And honestly, I was like, oh, it could be, maybe not real, but like maybe someone put some effort into it. But then I think I realized that, this was probably AI generated because someone did a side-by-side comparison of one of the images was like the swamp level, and it was definitely just reconstructed from a random Kung Fu Panda video game. Because the same exact like format of the lily pads and this like dock was there.
Oh man, that's like, a deep cut.
Someone probably put that into the like AI generating thing and was like, hey, turn this into a Mario game with these like models of characters, whatever. But overall, it made me kind of both nostalgic and sad because back in the day when like Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate were like, still poppin', and DLC characters of who can be in the game were like part of the culture. A lot of fake leaks happened in that era. And it was kind of fun to just like, oh my God, is that real? Is that character actually going to be in the game?
Well, also with Smash, like, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
there's this like a little bit of uncertainty. But even when you find out it's fake, it's like, wow, that's so cool. This guy worked hard to either make a 3D model or draw it in a way that rendered it in a way that like made it convincing. And it was really satisfying either way.
Well, because it feels almost a little bit like years ago, there was a new Aphex Twin album coming out, which if you're of a certain age, you have to like Aphex Twin. If you're my age and you didn't listen to Richard D. James' album and Drux on loop in college, you weren't really a person. You're lying, but there was a fake album that came out by another artist, and it was like a full album, and everybody's like, oh, damn, the Aphex album leaked. It's really great. And then Aphex Twin was like, hey, this isn't my album. It's a marketing tactic, but it's really good. You should listen to it. This guy Synchro who put it out. But it was like, hey, that guy had done it, and it was kind of like a little bit of I'm going to put this in the frame of being an Aphex leak as a way to generate some conversation around my art. And even though that's a little bit dishonest, fundamentally, there was something at the core of it. And it feels like with this Super Mario Titans thing, there's nothing at the core of it except like maybe like a lazy chat prompt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's tricking just for the sake of tricking. And I guess there's like a little bit of fun that can be had with that.
Trolls, there's trolls. There's always been trolls. There will always be trolls. That's nothing new. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It feels like the end of it's a different flavor of leak than what you'd come to expect.
It's just not as fun, It is. There's like all the air just like deflates out of you, like knowing that someone probably just prompted and it just pooped it out.
Yeah.
I will say there were some parts of it that like were impressive, like the consistency between all the images, but at the end of the day, it just made me sad for a different time.
Yeah, it's interesting because like also I would love a new Mario 3D game, and I am on record as being the only guy my age, again, who rightly hates Mario 64.
What the heck?
I know.
It's a legendary game.
I have to acknowledge I'm in the deep minority on this one. I thought the N64 was an overrated console, but I love Super Mario Odyssey. Like I really think Super Mario Odyssey was an absolutely brilliant game. I would love to see another thing in that flavor.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that game handled organic exploration about as well as possible. And so, like, yeah, I am kind of the target for these leaks because I'm like, oh boy, a new Mario 3D game, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, like, but yeah, it is just I'm kind of like, well, let's go from this into another leak situation that's happening right now. So the Mario Titans leaks, we feel pretty confident saying we're AI.
Yeah.
There is a very genuine set of leaks happening in a really weird circumstance that's novel around GTA 6 right now, where a group named CyberLeak, who is kind of positioning themselves as like defenders of a single player experience, but are really just, it seems like they're pumping up a meme coin using leaked GTA 6 stuff.
Probably a grifter, yeah.
It seems like they've gotten their hands on a full copy of the game, and they are offering to generate specific gameplay bits and look at specific cutscenes in exchange for money. This feels, one, imagine how much it takes for me to feel bad for Rockstar. Like just imagine the metric fuck ton of just antipathy I have towards any major gaming studio, especially one that is so notoriously hurting its workers and anti-union in the way that Rockstar and Take-Two have been. But at the same time, so many people who've worked so hard on this game are having their work shown to the world in a way it wasn't meant to be seen, possibly in an unfinished state. And it's totally out of their control. I have sympathy for those artists, and maybe some for the corporation, less for the corporation, more for the individuals.
Yeah.
But this group, CyberLeak, is now encouraging people to dress up as leaks, which is, on the face of it, very funny. I have to admit, this is a funny ask, even though it's going to wind up ruining a lot of people's day. To dress up as leaks and go to their local like Rockstar offices to protest, what they see are various injustices. But this set of leaks combined with the backlash against Sony for discontinuing physical discs, which is being felt mainly by Insomniac and anybody trying to do any kind of Wolverine press right now, it feels like there is a level of anger towards the AAA establishment in gaming right now that feels novel to me. It feels distinct from something like Gamergate, where the animosity was being directed towards women in gaming spaces unfairly, I might add. I don't want anyone to take that out of context and be like, Berg loves Gamergate, but and I get it. I don't agree with the leaks or the targeted harassment of video game workers. I saw a quote in Polygon from James Stevenson, who I know casually, saying he's the community director for Insomniac. He's been getting such vitriol from people. I think that's uncalled for. But the anger towards the AAA space, I kind of get why people are so frustrated. It feels like the AAA games have been nickel and diming the player base for so long, and have been raking in tons of money, and have been laying off everybody.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of like, well, then what the hell are you doing? Where is the money going? I like to think that's what's fueling the stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
I mean, I think we're at a point where all of the frustration people have towards the AAA industry are like coming to a head. We're like, we're gonna maybe talk about it a little bit later, but yeah, the fact that Wolverine as a game is also just getting a lot of hate for there's not even anything wrong. It's just they release some gameplay footage. People are like hating on the voice acting. People are hating on like the aesthetics. Hating on like what it looks like. And I think it's just a general sense of like, AAA is supposed to be like, super major groundbreaking. And the fact that it doesn't meet anyone's like hyper expectations, it's like, well, what's the point of this AAA thing when I can get like a equally good experience as an indie game? And I think the CyberLeak guys or it might be one guy pretending to be a group of people.
Yeah, who can say? Yeah,
who knows? But I think they're taking advantage of the frustration in order to. I don't think this guy is like I don't think he actually cares about the justice of it all. I think he's using that.
I think that's a gloss.
Yeah. In order to the fact that he has a meme coin and a cryptocurrency that he's using to get people to like put money into.
Yeah. The second you got your own crypto, your credibility goes out the window a little bit, right? Like you can't be claiming like I'm doing this for justice. Buy my meme coin. Like
I think he tries to frame it like it's a donation, and doing it via the cryptocurrency would make it like less traceable or whatever. But it's like I saw like a Reddit comment. I don't know how true it is, but it was like because all the eyes are on this and like the currency or whatever, it's probably gonna be really hard to take the money out, because even if it's like it's not like truly anonymous. There's still like a wallet that needs to have that money and like all that stuff. So like clearly once that money gets taken out, people are going to be able to trace to like who possibly has it or whatever. So I don't even know if this plan was thought out.
Well, there's something else interesting going on. And, this is where kind of my understanding of what's happening hits a wall, because my head is full of rocks and I'm a dumb sack of shit.
Whoa.
But the CyberLeak Group's website that they're running this out of is hosted by a company I think called Arwen, that has basically distributed their website across a bunch of blockchain mining rigs. And so it's also unique in that Take-Two can't take down the website because it's distributed in this way. Which is also unfortunate. Again, like the tiniest violin for Take-Two and Rockstar. But I guess my sort of question is like, we follow a lot of Marvel news, very excited about, Doomsday and all this stuff. It seems like leaks are so much more common in the video game industry, and maybe that's because you have a higher percentage of people in the video game space who are like, hey, I built my own PC, I run my own Linux, carve out or whatever. I don't know, but like maybe you have people who have a little bit more technical savvy, who are a little bit more interested in this, who are a little bit more willing to kind of do that. But like, movies are kept on hard drives. Like it's crazy that this is happening to GTA 6, but we haven't seen something equivalent. We didn't see Brand New Day get leaked a month before it hit theaters or something like that.
I mean, that's fair. Not the whole movie, but I will say a lot of like promotional material and stuff are getting leaked for movies. I don't know if it's like recency bias, but at a rate that I feel like I haven't seen in a while. Like every Marvel thing and Sony thing, like the Spider-Man stuff, I feel like they just aren't able to keep like a clear lid on it. Like all the Doomsday stuff, there's been a lot more like Doomsday leaks that are now like, oh, this might be real considering all the new promotional stuff that they're releasing, all the new stuff we're getting. And I'm wondering what's going on, of like why there's more motivation to leak, because I'm like, do people get anything out of it? I mean, clearly the cyber leak gets monetary value from people donating
from their coin.
Literally.
Yeah, sure.
But in other instances, it's like, you don't want it to be traced back to you because you'll be barred or whatever, or get punished for it. So like, why is any of this happening?
Well, I think part of it is there's got to be a little bit of clout chasing, right? Like I'm the guy who did this, like in certain on the dark web.
I guess like, there's like, sure,
there's always going to be that little bit of boasting and braggadocio to it, but also, like when you have, the tools that OpenAI and Anthropic are working on now that are like specifically designed in theory to test for vulnerabilities. They also make them really powerful hacking tools, and it doesn't really take much to jailbreak the safeguards put in place by any company's AI thing. And so now, instead of just having like, well, it used to be to leak something, you had this really narrow Venn diagram overlap between people with the technical expertise who gave a shit about that thing. And now you probably have the same amount of people who give a shit about that thing, but the area of technical expertise has increased because of these tools that are available. This is my theory. I'm not basing this on anything. But
yeah.
there's just everyone is just so angry at Rockstar and Insomniac. And like, I get not liking a game. I get that. And I get shitting on that game for not liking it. I've been that guy. I try not to be that guy, but I have definitely been that guy and will be that guy in the future. You know, like, but scrolling any PlayStation post on anything, it's just people are so mad about the discs. They're so mad about every creative choice Wolverine. They're mad it's linear. They're mad it's not open world. They're mad at GTA because this, you know, it's just it's so overwhelming. And it's just gross. It makes me, it's like one of those things, it's that Groucho Marx quote, like, I wouldn't be a part of any club that would have me as a member. It's like, right, I don't want to be a gamer if this is what being a gamer means.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, what the fuck, you know?
I feel like, I guess things just, you know, I think we've all noticed a general rise in rage, like, just generally speaking.
Not me!
Okay, you're right. There's no rage. I'm wrong. Please forgive me. But it's just so much of our lives currently are like going, you know, it's going bad. So it's like a lot of rage being built up, and I think for a lot of people, it feels impossible to rage against something as like, you know, like our government, for example, like
there's a futility.
Yeah, there's a sense of futility with that, but a game company feels a little bit more accessible to enact some sort of change.
Yeah, it's lower hanging fruit. Yeah.
And I feel like they just there's energy, there's rage to be had, but there's also a nihilism where like, what can I even do about it? You know what? I'm gonna do what I can, and that's to do
just
something with this game. Complain about it towards these game companies. Just have an outlet, and then it makes them feel like they did something, you know, to just rage out.
And also, what's crazy to me, now, I think you're spot on about some of this rage is maybe misplaced. Let's say some of it is not. Let's say some of these people are this mad about Wolverine or Grand Theft Auto 6 or anything else. Like, you know, what I don't like about it is it flattens the discussion into, hey, either this game is the worst thing that's ever happened, or it's the best thing that's ever happened. And for me, like, that's almost no game. Breath of the Wild might be the best thing that ever happened, but that's almost no game. And the more interesting conversations are in that middle ground. You know, it's like, yeah, you can eat like the spiciest pepper in the world, and you can have the blandest oatmeal in the world, but most of the better dishes are going to be somewhere in between. You know, like,
I get that.
And so I also kind of resent is maybe too strong a word, but I'm just a little bit exhausted by these conversations where there can't be any opinion other than one at the far end of the bell curve, because it's like, I don't feel that strongly about it. I wouldn't mind engaging with people who feel like we're in the middle, even if they disagree with me. But if it's going to be anyone who likes this is a simp, and anyone who doesn't like this has no joy in their heart, then I'm like, then I guess I'm a joyless simp.
Guess I'm both.
Like, what can you do?
Yeah, because what is it? I was gonna say that I think also, oh my god, the train of trains left my thoughts. The trains left my thoughts.
Can I something that will jog your memory?
Yeah, do it, please.
Your tie is covering the L on your shirt, so it looks like you're wearing a shirt that says poo.
You know what? Memory not jogged, but appreciated nonetheless. I wasn't talking about poo. So
you might have been. You might have been. You can't remember. You don't know what you're talking about.
I literally have no idea.
We're talking about how like the conversation gets flattened. Like there's the extremes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's crazy that like in this day and age, a lot of opinions about like any of these stuff is also moralized. Like it's not just an opinion of whether this game is good or bad. It's like if you think one way, you're either a good or bad person.
Yes.
And that's been like something that's more prevalent these days.
Yeah, there's a judgment call made. Yeah. Like anyone who likes this must be evil because
So that's also happening. And I think another thing, and I've thought this for a while, and I think one of the main reasons why I really, despise Twitter, even though I use it and I'm on it all the time,
Yeah.
is that like it's not. There's a lot of things that a person says and can say amongst peers because it's like whatever. Like if I had if there was like a game about, let's just say like let's just say I was part of the people who like genuinely thought Wolverine was a garbage game and like this, I can't believe that they're doing this.
Yeah.
A conversation between friends about that is, kind of okay to be like exaggerative.
Yeah.
But I hope Insomniac goes out of business because this is a stupid game and I can't believe it.
Yeah, a little bit of hyperbole among people who understand you and the context of you is fine.
When you say that to something like Twitter, which is like, I think people say it's like the public
square.
It's a public square, but it's not really. It's like everybody has a megaphone yelling at everybody.
No, it's not a public square. It's a product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a product made by a company that is trying to monetize your rage, and you are helping them.
Exactly. And so that, and because it's like anyone can see it, all the nuances of what that person might want to say is gone, and so you just get all this like rage, and I think people are always like, when a tweet or whatever, an opinion goes viral, a lot of times I see like, I didn't think this was gonna like get so much attention.
Yeah, sure.
Because people think that they're speaking only to their friends or followers, but like this is not how this platform works.
Yeah.
If a thing catches, everyone's gonna see it. And so I think because we're in this world where we have less, people aren't hanging out as much in person, and this is their way of hanging out with people. They think it's a more private moment, but it's not. So
yeah, it's a weird blurring of the public and private spaces. Things you might say in a private space, great. Things you'd say in a public space, very different. And even within one conversation. I mean, I haven't been on Twitter in 6 years, so I don't know what it's like now.
Fair.
But in ye olden times when you used to have to thread stuff to get a long thought out.
Yeah.
It's like that. Which one? Shame on you for trying to say anything more complex than a tweet on Twitter. But like if one part of that went big, and the rest of that thread,
sure,
that context is lost.
Yeah.
And that also can make a huge difference. So anyways, it seems like the gamers are really angry right now in a way that it feels like they haven't been since Gamergate. And Gamergate was so toxic and so terrible and such just like the worst of the worst steering the ship. I hope we're not heading into something like that again.
It's a tangent, but I saw a video essay recently. I forgot the creator, but the concept was like misogyny and cozy games, or like things that are looked at as cozy games like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley or whatever are seen mostly as like a game that women play.
Yeah,
and that's like kind of made to be
right. They're seen as games women play and therefore lesser than real games like Call of Duty.
And man, watching that video essay, I was like, it's crazy that this stuff still happens.
Yeah.
Like I remember like growing up, like the kind of language people use, and I'm like what Gamergate stuff was happening. I'm like, man, so you forget that even if you grow up, the world doesn't necessarily also grow up.
I mean, so me and my wife play games together. That's like one of the things we do at the end of the night. We get out of work, and when we started doing that during pandemic, I had never shared a save file with anybody before, which is a very intimate act.
Agreed.
And she was coming at it from like, when she was a kid, she'd go over to someone's house, like she would just have to watch them play video games and wouldn't get to participate. And we have a friend who will come over sometimes and hang out and be like, do you want to turn? She's like, no, I just watch, and I forget how many people had that experience of being like, no, you don't get to play the game. You get to watch me play the game and celebrate my triumphs. And that creates a distance that's really a shame, know? So anyways, gamers, like, can we please, I'm in my 40s. I don't have the energy for this anymore.
True.
I just don't.
I'm in my 30s and I don't have the energy for this anymore.
Well, let's let's move on. We've been going about 45 minutes. I want to start talking about Lanterns, even though there's some other stuff.
Sure.
Lanterns episode 1 I thought was great. Lanterns episode 2 I thought was also fantastic.
I agree.
Before we segue into Lanterns episode 2 talk, I want to, some of you left some comments on Lanterns episode 1 I wanted to shout out. So Kyle Linen saying of Lanterns episode 1, great Lanterns episode. This is the place where the DCU needs to go to differentiate itself. I really like this comment, because I think I liked Superman okay. I didn't see Supergirl because it got so poorly reviewed. I was like, I don't have time.
Sure.
But it did feel, Superman felt so Guardians coded. It had so much James Gunn in its DNA. And I can't think of anything in the MCU that feels like Lanterns does. Certainly not on MCU TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really, I hope that Lanterns continues to go in the direction it's been going. But I think Kyle Linen, thank you for commenting, by the way. Kyle Linen's point is well made about this is really a very different kind of feel, even more so than like Peacemaker or
100%.
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like even Peacemaker was a really like silly, irreverent kind of show.
Yeah.
And it, even though it did also live in the comic book universe, it kind of was also a bit, it wasn't taking it seriously. It's like, yeah, they make jokes about like Batmite being a thing that exists, which is like this cosmic weird character, or like everything's a little bit more jokey. But like this is a show that like both takes itself seriously and is still in the comic world.
Yeah,
I think it's really refreshing.
Yeah. And then we also we had a quote comment from
quote from STS.
Quote from, I mean, both, from STS QI1QY for Lantern, saying, it's talking about the William Tell thing with young Jon Stewart, saying, the bullet holes in the wall suggest this was happening before Hal was giving interviews and such about being Green Lantern. Like, I think he's been the Lantern that long, but I doubt the no fear part caused the Apple tradition, but just reinforced it. And like, because you can see those bullet holes starting to lower down the wall when that kid was smaller.
I saw, I don't remember which platform it was, but I did see a theory from a comment saying that like maybe when the Ring was first trying to find someone, their theory was that maybe it went to Jon Stewart Sr. first, but he was afraid.
Oh, interesting.
And so it dodged him and went to Hal. And maybe he has that knowledge of what that could have been. So he's training his son to be, maybe what he couldn't, and get the ring after.
Because he seems, in Erik's breakdown, which I highly recommend everybody watch, the breakdown for episode 2 probably won't be up by the time this episode airs, but will come out shortly afterwards on New Rockstars. But, I didn't read any Green Lanterns growing up. I don't really know the mythology or the lore. I thought Erik did a great job of kind of breaking it down. And he talks a lot about this scene as like something that's abusive towards the kid. And I don't doubt that at one point it certainly was. But the kid seems like kind of eager. Like young Jon Stewart seems kind of eager for this Apple thing. Like he kind of, I got the impression watching the episode again that he was kind of intentionally watching TV until his dad got home so that he could go out and do this, and then his dad's really proud of him. And it's like, let's go, let's, kind of wipes the apple off his head.
It's true.
But so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then the third comment we pulled from John Trumbull, 5315.
John Trumbull.
Saying, what I appreciate about Lanterns, the Lantern setting, is it shows crime in rural parts of the USA, where, as Hal points out, it's much easier to get away with crimes than compared to cities. In a superhero genre, if anything, we need more superheroes patrolling Arkansas than New York.
Yeah,
and
right.
I was like, you know what? That is, I hadn't thought of that. I think that's a great point of like, if I was, if I was a criminal in the DCU, why would I make Metropolis my target if I'm trying to do something that's going to like hurt the globe?
Right.
Go hide out in the sticks somewhere, like that seems like the wiser move.
And then I think that makes sense specifically as a Green Lantern storyline, because Green Lantern is specifically like a galaxy-wide, universe-wide, patrol. And so an enemy of that would think maybe more strategically of where they want to be in terms of like hiding, you know. Yeah,
well,
so
and the Earth is kind of positioned as a galactic backwater, you know, and so this, I'm blanking on the name of the town in Nebraska, but like this is positioned as like a backwater of Earth, you know, like all the way down. So I thought that was a pretty good observation. So anyways, thank you all for watching Lanterns along with us. Please continue to comment on Lanterns. Let's get into episode 2.
Oh yeah.
I loved episode 2. What were your favorite parts?
It's hard to. I really enjoyed. I just like the characters. I like seeing more of who Jon Stewart is as a person. I mean, the whole chase scene was really great.
In the van,
the van scene.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so good. Like when he gets kicked out the back.
Yeah.
On the freeway, and you're like, oh my god.
And
like
it's like I like that. You know. It kind of reinforces the whole thing with like John is that he has no fear, and even though he's like stuck in a place where you know he's cuffed or he's zip tied together, and there's a lot of risk, he's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna freaking get out of here.
Yeah,
and he just goes crazy mode and wails on the guys, and I mean he's a fighter, man. He knows how to. Man. He knows how to. Like, he doesn't have the ring, but he knows how to get out of situations.
So good. And I also really loved the scene at the diner towards the end of the episode with John, where he goes back, and I'm blanking on the actress's name is Porna, I believe Jaganathan. But where she's at the diner and like she is kind of. They're able to have a conversation about the white men who dominate their lives,
right.
Without these white men being able to eavesdrop, and like the tightrope that Aaron Pierre walks in that scene of like, man, you and I hooked up, and I don't think I'm going to do it again, but like I do kind of like you, you know, like I thought was like just really, really well handled and well done, and was a great character moment.
Another part that I liked was, I don't know, you know, we don't know what the other aliens are, what type of like who they are specifically, but I think it's so funny that they have like an empathy gun.
Yeah.
Is have a gun that injects you memories of the
These
horrors.
memories. Yeah.
It's like, empathy is getting into me.
Like you're going to learn about the Holocaust right now. You know, it's like, it's Professor X's trauma beam, you know.
It's weaponized.
Yes.
It's that, but weaponized into a gun.
Yes.
Just injecting trauma into someone. And honestly, if we had that in real life,
oh my God,
that might be a good,
can you imagine,
might be good.
Can you imagine if you like ran into someone who was like, you know, I'll tailor this to you. If you're like, hey, like I ran into someone the other day who just hates Korean people. They're just a racist, a racist bigot, like, and you're like, hang on a second, zap. And they were like,
the history of Korean people in America.
God, I didn't realize what was going on right before World War II. That really opens my eyes, you know, like
that'll be hella useful.
Yes. Hella useful. Yeah, so I really like this. I also thought we got a lot of really good Hal Jordan moments, you know?
Sure,
like, because the ring, also so funny that the ring is basically a Bluetooth device out of batteries. It was like powering off, you know, like 5% charge, you know? But because the ring is dead for the duration of the episode, we get to see Hal Jordan stripped of his powers, which is a superhero trope I always enjoy. Like, hey, what do you do? Just like, what's your thing? And his thing is stealing bodies from the morgue, throwing them in a car and driving them across town. Like, I just thought, you know, and him also, when he's at Garrett Dillahunt's ranch, the Macon Ranch or whatever, and he's like, what are you going to do? Shoot me? And they just, do, you know, like, I thought that was also like a great character moment. So I thought this episode did quite a bit in terms of evolving these characters to be a little bit more three-dimensional, but also pushing the story forward. You know, it's like now we know we're looking for this secret manhunter in Nebraska.
Yeah.
You know, like we can presume that's probably who kills Hal 10 years from now. You know, I just thought it was a really tightly written and well done episode of TV. And also, not for nothing, showing how much Kelly MacDonald's character knows and has been hiding from Hal the whole time is also really great.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, I it's been a minute since I watched a show like as it was going that really made me want to watch the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy, I want to know what's going on.
Yep.
Well, why? Where's the Manhunter? What's going on with Hal? And what's going on? Like, what's the conversation is going to be with Sinestro?
Well, that was
I'm so excited for that.
Also something I loved where it was like, Hal has that whole thing in the first episode where he's like, well, the uniform's kind of like wearing a tie in your 20s,
right.
where it's like you're trying to impress somebody. He specifically puts it on like, so he's clearly trying to impress Sinestro in some way, like, or at least he's trying, not to look like a total schlub when he goes back to whatever that like floating satellite lantern base thing is called. Like that's also interesting, kind of showing him in a position where he's lower status than someone else he's dealing with because he's been such a belligerent prick the whole time. I'm really excited to see where the series goes.
Yeah, 100%. I found it really interesting too at the end of the episode where Sinestro tells Hal that like manhunters are the second biggest threat. Second biggest threat to you right now. Speaking of, how is Jon Stewart?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I think the show has done a really good job of, at least in this episode, of showcasing how powerful or the potential of Jon is.
I thought the reveal when he made the bird, again, no Green Lantern background knowledge, but in my head, I was like, that's got to be difficult to make something with like all these like moving parts and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the things we've seen Hal create have been bottle opener, counterfeit money, bubble.
And a ball.
Like sphere. And so to make something as intricate as a bird, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't even know that was possible. And then the reveal halfway through the episode when he's being interrogated by a group whose identity I don't know yet. And they were like, how are you keeping that going without the ring? Like that quiet reveal of how incredibly powerful Jon must be was really great. Like I thought that was a phenomenally subtle way to demonstrate that.
100%. And it's also the fact that I also am not too familiar with the intricacies of the lore, where like I'm not sure if Hal has to die in order to pass down the ring, or if that's something that can just they can trade off or whatever. But the fact that Jon is proven to be like so good or potentially incredibly good probably also means like Hal would probably be retired, or something like that. So it's he has this existential threat to like who he is as a person in the form of his protege. Which like, do you think like he's stalling on purpose? Like he's purposely making sure Jon isn't able to like learn all he can.
Yeah, I think he's, I think it's a 1-2 punch of tough love, but also he's aware of his own obsolescence.
Yeah.
Like you very much get the sense, certainly when he's talking with Kelly MacDonald and she's like, hey, don't cut me off at the knees, he's really not used to being the guy. And I think he's really not ready to not be the guy anymore. Even when he's like, I'm going to teach you how to fly, he's not really teaching him anything. He's just like, fly. Like he's like, oh, okay, you want to learn? Like, here, I'm going to put it on the thing and crash the car. Like, he is working this case. He seems a little resentful to have someone he has to train. And I think that's kind of how that's coming out.
I feel that just thinking about it now, I think Hal knows that the Guardians see something in Jon, clearly, because this is the first time that they assigned a protege to a Green Lantern. Like this is normally not how it works. At least that's what they said in the show. And to the point where I think I also think Hal is kind of testing whether or not the Guardians are right. Like, is this guy have like extra skills that I don't know about? The fact that, part of him seeing if Jon could fly was maybe like, does he can he just learn?
Yeah.
Does he have the ability to just know how to do it? And he's like, oh, thank God he doesn't know how to fly. Like,
yeah, he can just make birds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
but then like, I think when he saw the bird, he was like, oh shoot, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's even more potential than I thought. And just having that, like the acting of his face, like showed that like, oh, this bird is kind of crazy.
Well, and that point you just raised about how like not being sure whether the Guardians are right about John's potential certainly lines up with his general lack of respect for authority other than his own, you know, which is, you know, that's like a fun trope to play with, but you know, to play with the context of like the people overseeing the protection of these galaxies might not know all they think they know.
Yeah.
You know, because he even asks John, he's like, did you tell the Guardians? He's like, no, I respect the chain of command. You know, like Hal's paranoid. He's paranoid and he's kind of like, you know, coming apart at the seams a little bit.
Yeah. And I also really like that moment where, you know, we kind of, at the end of John's conversation with, I forget the character's name.
I forget her name too, but yeah, the Garrett Dillahunt's character's wife. Yeah.
But, you know, in that conversation where he's talking about, like, I don't know if I can trust Hal. And she's like, well, if you have to ask, then there's your answer.
Yeah.
But at the end, you know, he kind of does still ultimately trust Hal first because he's like, you know what, I'm going to tell you this information.
Yeah.
Because, you know, despite it all, you know, I still feel that like it's best for you to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I hadn't told the Guardians because I don't want to undermine what you like our chain of command here.
Yeah.
So there's still like a level of, you know, respect that he is giving to,
you know,
Hal.
my read on that was less like respect and more a, hey, I trust you to solve this case or to like be a protector, but I don't trust you with me personally. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like there's like different, you know, if you sort of break down the various kinds of trust that someone in Jon Stewart's position could have in someone in Hal's position. Like Hal has proven himself to be a decent Green Lantern.
Yeah.
John might think he could be a better Green Lantern, but I think he begrudgingly accepts and respects that Hal is a decent Green Lantern. And so in that moment, he's like, well, I trust that you'll at least have some insight as to what to do with this.
Yeah.
But I really don't think that John trusts Hal to like do anything the way he's asked to, you know, like, or really bring John in as a full confidant. So I think he's trying to kind of be like, hey, I'm extending this olive branch by giving you this information I got. Mainly because I need your help to crack this case because I don't have the ring and you do.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Also, side note, I really loved the way the lantern looked. Just as a prop, like I thought it had such a great combination to me of looking like something that you could easily see on like a whaling ship from the 1850s right. or something you could find on a UFO that came here from 2,000 years in the future. You know, like I thought the production team really nailed the design of that in a way that like, I don't know. I just thought like really looked great. I really liked that.
I think it looked awesome, and also like when the lantern was brought out from the box, the music, the way it swelled, it had like an epicness to it.
Yeah,
I was like,
definitely.
damn, like you really feel the weight of what that is and what it represents.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Kind of related. I loved when Hal was charging the ring. He was just speed running through the oath.
Yes.
He was like the Black Knight, might.
Yes.
He just wants to get it over
funny.
with.
Yes.
It's like he has to do the oath in order to do it. But
like,
he needs the power right now. So I can't wait till like next episode. He's gonna freaking use the full power of the ring, I think, to like just go into the compound.
Well, I think also like the way this episode ends with Hal recharging the ring to full power and putting on the suit.
Yeah.
You know, like I think kind of implies that everything we've seen up to this point has been like we're doing a Green Lantern's job, but we're doing it a little bit with one arm tied behind our back. And now I think we're finally going to get to see, you know, some of what we saw in that second trailer, you know, that really showed off the green. That having been said, I've been enjoying the show tremendously. Tremendously.
Tremendously, I think
I've been
right.
enjoying it tremendously. Not tremendously.
Okay.
Not immensely. I've been enjoying it tremendously. Without that stuff. And I think the show has done a really good job laying a really rock solid foundation to then layer that stuff on top of. And I think sometimes where, these kinds of genre shows can go wrong is by treating character and mystery almost as like secondary to, or just in service of showing off like kind of the more comic booky stuff. And I really like that this show has been taking its time.
Yeah.
So I'm really loving it. I'm so hooked. I'm loving it tremendously.
Really tremendously.
Really tremendously.
There was a like TikTok or a vertical video I saw of someone talking about the show and what they really appreciated, and I agree, is that the way that Hal treats the ring, or at least the show treats the ring, is almost like it's like a firearm that a police officer has.
Yeah.
And that's, yes, it's very powerful, but you kind of want to use it when you need to. And I think that is a way that the show is able to keep us in this world where he's not like constantly using it.
Yeah.
And I know like currently it's like out of battery, just recharged. So he's probably gonna go crazy mode the next week. But it gives us like a sense of believability on like why he's so hesitant to constantly use it. Cause it's like, he could just theoretically in the compound fly, get like armor and just like whale through things. But it's like a smart officer is like not gonna be shooting all the time with every opportunity.
It's a little bit like, man, I got 1,000 dash cam vids that prove you wrong, but it's a little bit like the line in Spider-Man Homecoming where Tony Stark shows up after the ferry incident and he's like, hey, I'm going to take away the suit. And Peter's like, I'm nothing without the suit. And he's like, well, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve to wear it. It's part of what the show is showing us, not only with Hal Jordan not being able to use the ring, but also with Jon Stewart not having any access to it, is who are these people without the ring?
Yeah.
And are they really worthy of using it? And I would argue at this point, they both have proven themselves worthy of using it. And I'm excited to see where that goes.
Oh yeah, 100%. I also just generally like, man, they're really showing how competent John is in this episode. Where I'm, maybe it's part of the things. Like I'm starting to think, man, he would kill it with the ring.
Yeah,
I think he does deserve it more than Hal, maybe.
Yes.
But we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen to them.
Yeah, this guy's like making a bottle opener, and this dude's crafting a songbird.
I know, and it's alive the whole time.
Yes, has its own will.
When at the like near the end when they were talking about the bird, and then Hal asks like, does the bird have any significance to you? Like you must have like thought of something, and he's like, no, it's just a bird, and he like crushes it into dust. Do you believe him that he was just like conjuring a bird, or was there a sense that this meant something?
I think my read of that moment when John crushes the bird at the end of the episode is that he doesn't want to reveal anything about him that's too personal to Hal because he doesn't trust Hal not to use it against him.
Sure.
If John were to say in that moment, like, well, my beloved Tweety Bird was my special pet when I was a boy, then he would be Tweety Bird for the rest of his
Tweety
life.
Bird, Tweety Bird Jr.
Yeah, okay, Tweety Bird, let's see you fly.
True.
So I think it's absolutely. I bet we'll find out in a flashback that John's father made him like kill a bird with his bare hands or something as some test of, are you afraid or it's not going to be a happy memory.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, oh boy, on my first day of third grade, a cool bird landed in my window and then I got sat next to my new best friend, Because
I think initially I had believed that I was like, maybe the show is telling us that like he's so potentially powerful with the ring that even if he doesn't care about a bird, he's able to construct it. But he does give like a look after he crushes it. He kind of like has this like glance where I'm like, oh, there's probably something.
I think there's something. There's something there. Yeah. But I'm really digging it. I really like the dude who's playing Sinestro. I don't know the actor's name.
Yeah.
How he's I guess I've just gotten so used to like the Hannibal Lecter kind of trope where it's like hello Clarice, closer, like where there's a little bit of a teasingness, a little bit of like, oh, I have this power over you. And I like the actors playing Sinestro kind of making the choice, like, telling me about Jon Stewart. Like it's just a very serious, like he is kind of here to help, like I'm curious to hear about the history of the coup that he tried to lead. I thought that was just a small scene, or not a small scene, but a small moment that was really well handled that immediately made me go like, oh, I don't know if I've seen this take on it before or in a while.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like what kind of relationship Hal has with Sinestro. They're clearly like the fact that he's going to him in prison for guidance really is really interesting to me. Like even though he's the one who stopped him, he still wants to use Sinestro for some sort of information because theoretically he could ask other guardian or other lanterns.
Yeah, that's
he could
true.
ask the guardians or something.
Yeah,
but he decided to go specifically
to Sinestro.
It's like what kind of relationship they had is going to be really interesting to look at.
You think Sinestro was in charge of like a January 6th type assault on the satellite?
It must be.
They got like the lanterns version of the QAnon shaman is like a purple lantern from some planet 3 galaxies over.
Said stop the steal.
Yeah.
He's like, gotta go.
Yeah.
We voted for this. I have no idea, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see next episode. Because, dude, I'm so excited for the next episode because we'll have the conversation on what Jon Stewart is. And I don't know if you saw the video, the sneak peek on the next episode yet.
I haven't watched it. No.
It looks like it's gonna be largely a flashback episode for Jon Stewart.
Oh, cool.
We'll
hear about that bird.
Yeah. Like what's gonna happen about the bird, and we get to see like how his like dad knows about the lanterns probably. Really excited to see that. Yeah,
that's great. Well, before we wrap it up here, Brian, is there anything in Brian Corner this week you want to talk about? What are you getting into outside of the work stuff?
Yeah, this was actually a couple weeks ago where my fiance and I just wanted to have like a movie night where to watch a bunch of movies that we haven't seen.
Yeah, I know how movie nights work.
Time out. You gotta watch movies you have seen.
Yeah,
okay,
I get it. I'm not saying
it. You've heard of movies, right?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Pictures that move.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
It's kind of like that over there, except a story is being told.
Oh yeah, the movies you play.
The movies you play. It was just like movies that people have told us to watch that we haven't yet.
Yeah.
So we watched 3 movies in one night, and that was kind of cool.
Oh man, that's a triple feature.
It's a lot of movies. Turns out that's the whole day when you do that.
Yeah.
But we ended up watching Marty Supreme, Interstellar, and then we closed it out with The Drama, which is the Zendaya Robert Pattinson movie. Watching 3 movies. You know what's so...
Those are 3 very different movies to watch.
3 super different vibes, but I had a lot of fun. Very interesting movies. Interstellar, I wish, watching it, I'm like, I should have watched that in the theaters probably.
I should love Interstellar and I just like it okay. I don't want to become the guy who shits on Nolan because I think he's a really good filmmaker. But my thing with Interstellar is the same as my thing with 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is that it's a movie that in both 2001 and Interstellar, Kubrick and Nolan break it up into chapters, and I think the chapters work better in isolation than as part of a full other movie. And so with Interstellar, I'm like, yeah, that chapter with Matt Damon is phenomenal, right. But in the context of the whole movie, does it set me up for, and the 4th dimension is love, no, it does not. Great soundtrack though. Marty Supreme and The Drama I've not seen.
Marty Supreme also, like, they're both pretty anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
So if you're into that kind of stuff.
I've seen Uncut Gems. I was like, I think
Was it love?
The 4th dimension was love.
The 4th dimension
Who's been messing
love?
with the machine?
No, it wasn't. Love was just the
mess
thing that motivated him to use gravity
Right.
that
He does.
can
He
transcend
does
time.
use gravity.
Love was just the compulsive force. It wasn't its own axis into a fourth dimensional construct.
It just felt so Professor Frink to me of just like, wow, secret ingredient is love. Like the Flaming Moe's episode.
No, and why is that the worst thing in the world? If that
It just felt cheesy to me.
Listen.
It felt like
Listen.
like a cheesy answer to a sci-fi question.
It
It
is.
wasn't the film's answer. It was one character in the film.
It was
The main
Anne Hathaway's.
character.
She's not the main.
Or well, I guess Anne Hathaway's
Well, I would
character
say-
specifically first was like, "What if it's love?" But then, well, yeah, I think the messaging is that like ultimately love is that like transcending dimension.
It's the fifth dimensional beings, which is our AI descendants.
Our
seeing
potential
at one point in
descendants.
their own history, there was this love in this one unique circumstance in human history that transcended across space-time. And a father and a daughter's love was just one rare wrinkle that they could take advantage of. And that it's not like love was a dimension. Love was just the link between these different points in space.
Like the equivalent of like a force-carrying particle or something like that.
Science. Science.
Yeah.
Force carrying particle.
Secret ingredient is love. Who's been messing with the machine?
Well,
Go
I don't
watch
know
the
if-
Flaming Moe's episode of Simpsons if you haven't seen it, if you don't know that reference.
I don't know the reference.
Yeah, Marty Supreme I've not seen because I've seen Uncut Gems and I think it's a brilliant movie.
Yeah, it's
But
like
I don't have room for that much recreational anxiety in my life right now.
I will say I haven't seen Uncut Gems, which I know is like the movie to watch if you're like a Safdie person because
It's
they're,
great.
But I think the vibe of the anxiety is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because Marty Supreme, like the Marty character, is such like a bro, like a dude.
Yeah.
Where it's more like his little adventures that get him into like problems, and it's less like it's like, oh, this kid is going crazy, rather than like I think Uncut Gems is like just this guy, the Adam Sandler character. It's not as like fun and energetic.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's what if a compulsive gambler made the absolute worst possible choice
Yeah.
in every interaction.
No,
And-
exactly.
And they pile up.
And then the drama was really interesting because the whole thing was the central conceit is like, what if there was something you learned about your partner that almost derails a wedding that
Yeah.
happens like a week or two later? And I think that part was really, really compelling, and more than Marty Supreme, really made me feel like strong emotions. And a movie is supposed to make you feel something, so that's
So I've been
great.
told. I've been told.
But if you've seen the movie, you know what the reveal is.
I know. I have not seen the movie, and I know what the reveal
Oh, you do know what the reveal
Yeah.
is? I understand the reasoning to use that reveal, but I think it's a little too separated from reality that it bothers me. I'm gonna say a spoiler. If you want to skip it, skip to this timestamp. The reveal being that Zendaya's character almost committed a school shooting.
Mhm.
I think just being in this current era, if I was told that by, let's just say, my partner, I think I would be like, you know what? I get the impulse. I like
You're saying your problem with the movie is like that wouldn't be enough of a deal breaker.
yes.
You had a hard time
Actually.
buying into the
No,
idea.
I'm being actually serious
No,
though.
I know you are, and I agree
Which-
with you. It's just so funny for that to be the criticism.
No, because it's a similar criticism I had with Disclosure Day, where it was like you had to believe that this world existed where aliens would be mind-boggling, or that
If the government lied to you,
lying
that would be such a betrayal.
is mind-boggling. That like I'm sitting there, I'm like, no, it wouldn't, and then it's kind of
so
like
funny.
And so I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, I get what the director is trying to say, but also like, as me as a person, I'm self-proclaimed, I was a loser growing up. And so I kind of understand the loser
Sure.
mentality of these people. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but like it would be more sympathetic. But I know that's not the point. The point is like derailing something.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said, the fact that it's Zendaya as a character who almost does a mass shooting, where they make it a point in the movie to even call out the fact that like, oh, some women are mass shooters.
Yeah.
But if you actually look into it statistically, it is so absurdly low, the amount of women that are mass shooters.
Of course it is.
Because it is, unfortunately, a gendered problem.
Yes.
Like, mass shooting is a male problem. And so it just made me like think too much about that as like a real world analogy that like it took me out a little bit. But everything else was great. Everything else I think was a fun movie to watch. Made me feel things. Awesome. But that's in my little Brian corner.
Nice.
No, in your corner.
My Berg corner has largely been filled with Breath of the Wild, which you may have noticed is not a new game.
No.
This is the third time I've played through it. And I am so impressed that Breath of the Wild gets better with each playthrough.
Interesting.
My wife and I had been playing Elden Ring. Then my daughter was in town for 3 weeks. And I don't know if you've ever put an Elden Ring save down for 3 weeks. You cannot pick it back up.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So, and like we'd been playing it. I think that like the progress you make in Elden Ring is not as immediately palpable. I love it. I think it's a great game, but I think for my wife, she just wasn't like jiving with it as much. So we switched over to Breath of the Wild, which in some ways is a very similar game.
Sure, yeah.
You know, like they both handle open world exploration phenomenally well. And I really am impressed with Breath of the Wild specifically, how the vertical design of the map hides and reveals things to see and go to, you know? And every time you climb up somewhere, you are rewarded. Sometimes it's just a Korok. Sometimes it's a view of a shrine, you know, like, sometimes it's like, oh, like a big thing, like, oh, there's a tower, I can see a dragon, or there's a divine beast on the horizon or whatever. And every time you go down into a valley, there is likewise like, oh, there's some cool ore I need, or some weird lizard I need for a potion, you know? And the thing that makes the game better every time you play through it is you have a better understanding of how little you actually need to do the main story.
Oh, right.
Which I love.
Yeah.
I love the divine beasts. They feel like Nintendo's take on a Shadow of the Colossus thing. I love the memories that you find between Link and Zelda. I think it's like a really great story. It's unfortunately a little buried, a little optional. But the game really, the more you play it, the more the game reminds you that the point of the game is not to beat the game, it's to be playing the game right now. And that's so rare, and I've been enjoying playing that again so goddamn much. It's just such a treat.
Yeah. Have you played Tears of the Kingdom as well?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do you feel the same way about Tears?
I think I do.
Tears of the Kingdom?
I haven't replayed Tears of the Kingdom since I played it, and the summer that Tears of the Kingdom came out was the same summer that Baldur's Gate, Starfield, and Diablo 4 came out. And specifically, the I don't remember what the time was, but like Tears of the Kingdom came out like a couple weeks before Diablo 4's big release. My wife and I had been playing all the beta weekends and stuff. We were super stoked on it. And so when we beat Tears of the Kingdom, it was literally at like 2 a.m. the night before Diablo came out. And I was like, I gotta play Diablo. I gotta get my character max level, you know, like, which is so funny because now Diablo 4 like hasn't really stuck with me as much as Tears of the Kingdom has. A friend of ours was over this weekend and he was saying his review was, I think Tears of the Kingdom is the better game. Breath of the Wild is the better experience. And I find I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because the Zonai stuff is like incredible. My favorite part about the Zonai stuff is going on YouTube and watching someone being like, I built a machine that hunts Lionels on its own, you know, like.
It's the community aspect of like watching other people do it.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have not beaten Tears of the Kingdom. I like got halfway through and I just like, I didn't
I'll
have
tell
it in
you,
me to
man,
keep going.
the final fight, without spoiling it, is gorgeous. You owe it to yourself to do the final fight.
Okay, that's fair.
It is really spectacular.
It just the magic of Breath of the Wild just wasn't recaptured for me, and I don't think it was trying to either. But it
felt a little bit like a 1.5 game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're using the same map. We've added the underground. There's like some stuff that's been changed, and obviously the Zonai stuff's a huge new mechanic that's really fun. But yeah, it felt a little bit 1.5. You know, I would have liked it more if I got to play as Zelda.
Oh, sure.
You know, like that would have been
100%.
different. But I did really like it. I'm not trying to harp on it. I thought they're both great games, but I think Breath of the Wild, I could play it for hours on end, and did this weekend while suffering from an intense physical and emotional mushroom hangover.
There you go.
You know, like,
There you go. Look,
yeah.
there's a reason why you go back to the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, man. A breath of fresh air. Wow. Okay, well, let's end it there. That's it for us today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you have gentle roasts for myself or the guy wearing the poo t-shirt, leave them in the comments below. Likewise, we're going to continue watching Lanterns. So please put your thoughts on Lanterns episode 2 in the comments below this video. Please be mindful of spoiling anything. I don't think there really were any huge spoilers in episode 2, but just be mindful of spoiling anything for anybody else who maybe hasn't had a chance to watch it the second it came out. And please, any other thoughts, theories, questions, comments, leave those in the comments as well. We'll try to get in there and respond to them over the course of the week. If you're not already following us on socials, we're Breakroom NR on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, the Breakroom Official on TikTok. If you have the means to buy a t-shirt or something from nerdriot.shop, feel like supporting us, we'd appreciate it. But hey, no sweat if not. That's nerdriot.shop. That's the most direct way you can support our channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye. All right.
I've had to pee since like 3:10. I've just been like, I gotta pee so bad.